Good evening. Good morning. If someone is watching this in the morning somewhere in the world, I want to welcome you to Speak Freely with Barrington Salmon. Our special guest today is up and coming filmmaker Smothers. Welcome. So glad to have you. As I was telling you earlier, one of the things that Mimi and I love is interacting with young people. It keeps us young, and it's a great way to learn a lot of what we think we know, but we don't necessarily know because you guys are different, you think different, and that type of thing. So for those who are on, tell us about yourself. Tell us a little about yourself.
All right. But first, I want to apologize for my ensemble. Like I was saying before we got on air, I just haven't had a chance to get a haircut yet. But my name is Smothers. I'm a new filmmaker. Well, I don't even like to say new. I learned through, I think it was a book entitled by Sidney Lumet to not say you're a new filmmaker or up and coming filmmaker or starting out filmmaker. No, you're just a filmmaker. So I'm Smothers. I'm a filmmaker. I've been doing it for about 4 years now, 5 years. Started out in just general production. Been doing that for about 7 to 8 years now. And it's just a passion of mine to just be a part of any type of production that involves getting a message out to people. Communications is my thing. And it's just something I enjoy.
What is it that drew you to this career in the first place?
I guess to start off with production, it was through a mentor of mine named Richard McGee. He was my mentor in high school. Started out working in productions with him, and he networked me and connected me with some different people, and then they kind of showed me the light into sports production. And through there, I met some really good people through going through the college I'm, I guess, currently attending or was attending PG Community College. I met some great people through there, and then they got me into film production. So now I'm doing both sports production, news journalism, and film production all in one. And all of it is just, it's fun because you realize that everybody that works in one likely has a hand in the other because nobody just does one thing. Everybody seems to like doing everything. So that's kind of what it's just my mentors. My mentors and the people that I'm able to learn from. They all just kind of networking with different people.
Yeah, I had the honor of watching your short film, Great Town, and it's interesting because I was telling you and telling Mimi earlier, I know friends who encountered that, but I didn't know the name. I just thought it was like a Sundown Town or some other name like that, but the name of Great Town. So tell us about your movie, your movie, please. Your film.
All right, so the film is called The Great Town. Great Town is another word or a hidden code word for Sundown Towns. It's a true story, happened to my grandparents, and it's something that I made. Honestly, just one day when I went down there to visit them, I was talking to them, and they often tell me about their old stories of coming from North Carolina or Atlanta or things like that. And they just told that story, and it stuck with me. And I remember when my grandfather told it to me. I didn't say it at the time to him, but I was in my mind. I was like, I'm gonna tell my friends about this. So we went to work, and a film festival was coming up that me and my friend were supposed to do, and I brought it up, and our mentor Ron Ross was like, I like that idea. You guys should do it. And we were planning on doing it. Come to find out, the festival wasn't what we thought it was. So we pushed it aside. We let it go. We're like, all right, we're not going to do it. And our friend Ron was like, no, I think you guys should still do it. Even though it's not for a festival, I really like the idea. You guys should still do it. And from there on, for the next 3 years in pre-production, me and my friend Zach Goldsmith, we just took off. And we stuck to it. We stayed on it. And pre-production took 3 years, writing the scripts, the budget, finding the actors, because it was a first-time thing for us. So we really wanted to take our time with it and make sure it was done well. And it came out very well. I think in the total amount of days was only about 5 days of shooting, but it was 3 years of pre-production to shoot.
Wow!
So
wow!
That came out like that.
What state were you in let that happen to your grandparents?
So here's the funny part. When they first told it to me, they said they were coming from Atlanta, coming up to Maryland. Okay. And then when I asked them about it recently, they were like, oh, no, we were coming from Florida. And I was like, but y'all said Atlanta. They were like, no. So there's like, and then my grandfather was like, no, it was Atlanta. And my grandma was like, no, it was Florida. So there's like a debate right now. They can't decide because it happened in like 1975.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out when. But it was somewhere from the South. In the film, it took place in Georgia. And in the fictional town of Finesburg, Georgia, which is another wordplay on Sundown Towns, because that translates to sunny town. Uh,
Uh, yeah.
yeah, so it took place in Georgia in the film, but in the real life story, there's a toss up between Georgia and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Florida.
What's next for you? So you did you do this during did you film during COVID in 2020? Or did
No,
you
no,
do
no.
it before that?
I want to say 2019.
Okay.
I think we started shooting in September of 2019. I think we released it in like March of 2020.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's the reaction and reception been like?
It's been shockingly very well.
Shockingly, why?
Because it was my first one, and I'll be honest, when me and my friend were making it, I was like, man, I wonder if we'll win. I wonder if we'll get into one festival. That was my biggest thing, was if we're getting to one, and we ended up now we're in like 9, and we won 3 awards. And
Congratulations!
thank you. And I
You
was
surprised
like, yeah, I was like, whoa, okay, cool, because that was my main thing was, you know, you can show it to friends and family, and they'll never say it was terrible and it was bad. My mom is very blunt, but even she won't be, you know, harsh enough to say I didn't like it. She'll tell you what she didn't like about it, but she won't outright say she didn't like it. And I like that because, you know, I like to give it to you straight.
Yeah.
But, you know, when they watched it, everybody was like, oh, it was good. It was good. It was good. And I'm like, you guys are just saying that. But for a festival to say it was good enough to win an award in multiple categories, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay. That means it really was good, because these people don't know me. They're just judging the work itself.
Yeah.
And that's how I judge the merit off of Great Town, and how good it was what do people outside of friends and family think?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How easy or how difficult was it for you to put it together in terms of financing and the different elements that you needed, pre-production and that type of stuff we talked about?
It was definitely a challenge. It was definitely, and it wasn't in the sense of just because it was hard to do. It's just so tedious. Especially if you want to do it right. It's easy to throw something together and, you know, let it be what it be. It's easy to just write down some crap on the paper and let it go. But when you actually want to make something, and let's say it may not be generally good, but you just want to try and make it good, you're going to try to make certain things connect that wouldn't normally connect if you just threw it out there. So when it came to the script, there were a lot of rewrites. When it came to the budgeting, there were a lot of things that had to change with that, because it was like, okay, well, you know, what car do we have? Okay, well, we got this one. We got to get this one. Let's get that. Okay, well, then what place are we going to shoot at? Like, the diner that we shot at wasn't the diner that we planned on shooting at originally. But the diner we were trying to shoot at, when they said okay, for some odd reason, some guy that was there was like freaked out because we had cameras when we first came. And he was like, why are you guys taking pictures of my car? And we were just like, no, we're taking pictures of the location. Well, I don't like you guys taking pictures of my car. And we were just like, all right, let's just not use this place. So we ended up having to use that one. The road that we got, that was Bowie State. That was at Bowie State. We got lucky with that road, and we stayed there after hours. We weren't supposed to be there no longer than about 5 or 6 hours. We were there for like 10. And things like that often happen because, you know, once you get to set, you realize things don't go as smooth as you plan. You know, you can say this shot, then this shot, then this shot, then we're done. And before you know it, 6 hours have gone by, and you're not even on the shots that you thought that you would be on. Budgeting took a while because first starting out, we did not have a producer. It was just me and my friend Zach, and we just planned on basically just shooting with our best friends that we had, a group of us, and just making something. And they ended up all backing out, you know, because they all had lives, and that's understandable. But luckily, a woman by the name of Angela Mathis, she saw us up there all the time working, and she heard about us making our film, and she asked us, you know, well, what is it about? And we told her, and she said, okay, well, I want to help you guys out. I want to help you guys pay for it. And
I know real well.
Yeah, and it was a shocker. And she was just like, I want to help you guys pay for it, because she liked them. She liked what it was about. So we were just like, okay, cool. And we were just like, she was like, well, how much do you need? The original spot for the judge's house was like this castle-looking place that we picked off of a website called Peerspace for filmmakers to find locations. That one day was going to cost like $1,000+. And she was like, okay, but I would like for you guys to see my house. Maybe you can use my house. And me and Zach were like, we thought it was going to be just like a regular house and like a street. We were just like, She was like, well, I'm telling you guys, it'll be great. We were iffy on it. And then one day we were just like, all right, let's go see. And we pull up, and she has this long driveway, which is what you see on the film. And we ended up using her house because we were like, oh, this is perfect. The woods was in the back, so we shot the scene of them driving up to the house in the back of her house. The door was bright red. We were just like, oh, this is this looks just like a creepy, old house that's up in the woods. We were just like, this is perfect. And she said, I told you guys would like it. So that ended up being free, slice them up the budget. Along with that, she also said, if you guys are going to shoot a film with my money, I need you guys to use real actors. And I like that because that makes me get uncomfortable because I have to come out of my comfort zone. I have to go and talk to people and network with people that I normally wouldn't. I have to now find people that aren't my friends. And I like things that make me have to push myself and challenge myself. So she told us about an event that took place for actors called Stonehenge Auditions, where actors go and they read their monologues for a group of writers and directors.
Yeah.
And so we went and we sat in the crowd with the other writers and directors, and we watched these actors give their monologues. And we saw a few that we liked. And you can go on YouTube and you can look them up and you can find them and email them. And that's what we did. And we ended up using all of the actors that we found for Stonehenge. And we got those because of Angela. And things like that happen, very luckily. And those are things that made me have to learn. And that's why it kind of took so long, because at first it was just going to be a short film with a few friends. And then it turned into a legit film project with real actors, real money being dished out, real locations that took real time, that had to be fully fleshed out before we could actually shoot. So it became a real project rather than just, something that a bunch of friends were working on. And I like that. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. What were you looking? What were you looking for the two actors that you chose? What was it? What was it about what was it that you were hoping for them to bring and project in your film?
Christian, it was definitely the fact of, one, he didn't have a car. He came to the location to the audition on a bike, and it was hot that day. I was like, dude, are you serious? He was like, yeah. I was like, and that things like that, I look up to that because I'm like, bro, I like that because dedication. And when he came, he did very well. Shanisa, it was her charisma. She was a really good actress. She actually won a nomination at one of the festivals that we were in for an award. She should have won, honestly, in my opinion, but she didn't. But she at least got a nomination, and I love that because I like my actors to be recognized for the work that they did. But it was her charisma. She was very smiley. She was very happy. And they were just, I don't know if this is a word, but they were work with the pool. They were reflective. When you ask them something, they gave feedback also. I don't like actors. I don't like actors and actresses that are just set in stone. When we're shooting a scene, if you have a feeling or you have something that you want to do, I like for you to say, well, what if we did this? Well, I read this in the script, and what's happening here? I don't like that. What if they did this? I don't have a problem with that. I like that because that shows that you actually read the script, you have general interest, and you give feedback enough to where I might say, you know what, you're right. And I actually ended up saying that to, I forgot what Christian had said, but he said something, and I was like, you know what, you're right. And I went back and I fixed it, and it fixed a major loophole that I didn't see.
Yeah. We'd like to take a moment to show our viewers, listeners, your trailer.
Okay.
I'll have the morning special. Extra eggs.
Not from around here, are you?
No, we're from Maryland. We were visiting friends in Atlanta.
I love the music. Because when I was a child, I watched a lot of Alfred Hitchcock. Couldn't sleep after watching most of it, but the music reminds me so much of that. Tell me about your interplay with music with the projects you develop. How important is that, and what do you look for?
It's very important. And it's funny because that trailer, surprisingly enough, won an award, and it was in a festival that I just whenever I see it, it's an option of best trailer. Okay, I'll enter it just to see what happens. And when I won an award for it, it was like it was it was one of those things where I like to put music into it because I know if the rhythm of music fits with the rhythm of a film. If you watch a film like Creed, which is one of my favorite films, they put Meek Mill in there. The film is supposed to take place in Philly. Meek Mill is a Philadelphia rapper. If those things fit, it deepens the narrative of a film, in my opinion, when you do things like that. Music plays a big part in filmmaking to me. One of the most iconic, songs is from the film Rocky. When you hear that Rocky song, that's the first thing we think about. When you hear the Jason theme, when Jason's about to come out of nowhere and kill somebody on his film, that that sound.
Yeah.
It plays a major part in it, in my opinion. A good score, it can be very impressive. And there was a scene in the film that originally had dialogue where they're getting pulled over originally, and there was a mess up with the audio. So we were like, okay, let's cover it up with a score, and it ended up coming out nice. Yeah. And that ended up being a piece of the film that on one of the reviews that we got, they mentioned that they liked the score there, and come to find out, oh, well, they don't even know it was an accident. We just had to put something there to cover it up because we had audio issues, but it fit. They liked it. A good score, I don't know, people like it. They won't think about it when they're watching the films a lot of times, but they like it. It's an enjoyable thing, in my opinion.
How as you move deeper and get deeper into your career, are there people who you look up to that's different now from when you began, when you started, when you figured, okay, this is the direction I want to go in?
Definitely. First starting out, obviously with this film, is Jordan Peele, with the film Get Out and Us. And it's funny, before he made Get Out, I always thought in my mind, a good film concept would be a film like the film Wrong Turn, but a black version.
Yeah.
Because and it felt perfect to me. And I always thought that would be a good film idea, but nobody would ever adapt it. So then when he finally came out with Get Out, I was like, man, he stole my movie idea. But it was also because I loved it. I've watched that movie so many times, and the way he layered that film was so much, like so much was on screen. And if you watch it 100 times, you'll see 100 different things on it. And that's so serious because I've watched it and I'll notice things to this day where I'm like, I didn't notice that he did that. I didn't notice that. And I did the same thing on Greytown. With the sunflowers in the diner are called the Sundown Towns. But they're also a call to my grandmother because my grandmother's name is Daisy. So they're Daisy's right behind the guy when he's talking to the cop. Yeah. The sun sets in the first scene on the opening credits. So references to Sundown Towns, things like that. Hinesburg, Sunnytown, that's a reference to Sundown Town. The Green Books and things of that nature. So there are a bunch of callbacks there that I got from watching him. Also Ryan Coogler, one of my favorite filmmakers, just because he's authentic and he's himself, and his films have really good music. When you watch him, he makes his films with that music in mind, and I love that. And that's something that when I watch his films, I know I'm gonna be entertained by that. And also just how gritty his films are. He makes really gritty films, and they look awesome. From Fruitvale Station all the way down to Creed, that look that he has, I enjoy watching it. Who else? There's a couple of them that are local as well. A filmmaker by the name of Bruce Brown. I've had the chance to talk to him and sit down with him. Amazing guy to speak to. Richard McGee, another documentary filmmaker who's my mentor. I love talking to him as well. There's a lot of people. Most of them are local that I look up to, but as far as the major ones, definitely I say Jordan Peele, Ava DuVernay as well with her films and her shows. Ryan Coogler, John Singleton. There's a lot of them.
So let me ask you. A lot of times, more in the past than now, people would say, I'm going to go into the movies and I'm going to Hollywood. And I wonder if that is where you see yourself, or are you one of these folks? Because of Mimi and the film people that Mimi knows, a lot of them are like, I ain't going nowhere. We're going to create the film space, landscape, and environment right here. So, what are your thoughts on that?
It's funny. I'm one of those people where I kind of let the chips fall where they may. But I mean, it would be fun to go out there and work with those people. Of course, that's where all the money is. Great. That's where all the networking is. Great. But I also understand that for somebody of my complexion, it's not really wide open for us. So I'm not one of those people where I openly accept it, but I understand it. And especially coming from where I come from, I know I'm blessed to even be where I am right now. So, and especially with the internet, you don't need to go there anymore. I can come out with a film and be in a space to talk to somebody like yourself right now, and I'm still in Maryland. You can go to festivals and things of that nature just by putting your film online and go and talk to people that you normally wouldn't talk to. So Hollywood, it's still the hub, but the gatekeepers aren't really. They're not really watching the gate as heavily anymore because it's so possible for you to go to other places. Atlanta right now is the black hub for filmmaking. You know, Texas. A lot of filmmakers are moving to Texas. A lot of producers and directors are moving to Texas.
We're in Texas. We're in Texas.
I think usually it's either Houston. I think it's like Houston or things of that nature. I think it's mainly just because of LA with the taxes. That's really about it. And that's really about it. But you know, it's a thing where, like I said, Hollywood is still the it spot. But you can still have a successful career without going out there. But I understand, like I said, coming from where I come from and looking like how I look and the complexion that I am, it's not like the door is wide open and they're saying, "Oh, come on in, you're accepted." Like, no, it's gonna be some scratching, it's gonna be some fighting, and it's not an all-out goal for me because I mean, I just do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not trying to say I got to be the next big black film. No, if it happens, great, I would love it. But it's
okay to dream.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And most definitely. And like I said, I'm one of those people where I let the chips fall where they may. If I go places, I'm not going to shy away from talking to people. Of course, I'm going to network. You need help in your production. You're in New York. All right, cool. I'm coming. But you know, you got to be careful what you wish for in life, and that's kind of what I know. Just enjoy the time that you have. That's kind of what I look at.
I'm curious because there's always this. I mean, it's almost impossible for most of the things that we do to be in whatever career spaces we're in, and not reflect on where we've come from and on whose shoulders we stand. And I'm just wondering, as you think about it, when you're in conversation with your friends and your colleagues, is it easier now? Because, like you said, you have the internet, because you have folks like Ryan Coogler and Ava DuVernay who kick down some doors, Shonda Rhimes in TV. Is it easier that way, or is it still, you know, Justin's gonna have to, you know, kick down his own doors type of deal?
The doors are definitely open. I don't think they're open to greeting you at the door, but there are people that have kicked them down to show you can make great films. And because remember, for the longest time, they were saying black films don't sell overseas.
Yeah.
And Black Panther showed them that's BS.
Yeah.
You know, like Creed showed them that that's BS. And so, like I said, the doors are kicked down. However, I do, in my opinion, think that we have to be careful that once they kick them down, they try to keep us in that box of, okay, well, Get Out worked. Every film that comes out has to be just like Get Out. Okay, give it about a couple of years, and then let's move on to another type of film, because they don't do that with their films. And now, when I say they, it's not a white thing or a black thing. No, I just mean the major motion picture studios. They don't do that with their. They don't just stick with, well, this works, we're going to stay on that. No, they'll do Godzilla one year, then they'll move on to Planet of the Apes, and then they'll move on to, you know, Freddy versus Jason 2 or whatever, and they bounce around from different things and things on, you know, on that. We don't get that luxury. It's kind of like, nope, this is what people like from you guys. This is what we do. And that's a great thing, though, just the fact that we even have the opportunity. But I just think we have to be careful with knowing that just because one thing works, we don't have to stick with it. You know, I like the best thing about Black people is that we're diverse. You know, Jamaicans aren't like Africans. Africans aren't like African Americans. African Americans aren't like British Africans. Or European Africans. Excuse me. they're different, and that those differences should be shown on screen.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's the funnest part. There's a film that I watched that really didn't get pushed heavily over here, but it's with I think it's Damson Idris.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, he's the star of the film of the show Snowfall, and he was in a film. Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but he basically played a black skinhead who hated himself because he was raised by a white family or a white woman who didn't really like him. It was just more they would adopt black kids and let them live in Europe with him, and he began just hating himself. I think it was England maybe, but he began hating himself. And I never heard of that film. Luckily, I stumbled across it. And I'm just like, yeah, we should, things like this should be put forward here because films like this aren't shown over here like that.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just my opinion. All in all, the doors are definitely kicked down. And at the very least, I like the fact that we have an opportunity to show our stories. Jordan Peele definitely kicked them down with Get Out. So somebody like, I think Boots Riley, for him to make the film Sorry to Bother You. He called it. It was. I think it was him that called it this, or maybe it was a review that I read. They said it was like Get Out on acid. And if you haven't seen the film, it's a crazy film, but it's a dope film. And the fact that Jordan Peele came out with Get Out and that worked, that's what made them say, then we'll take a chance with you too. And you can tell that that's the film that kind of caused that to happen. The new show. I always forget the name of Lovecraft Country. There we go. Yeah. That was another film that because Get Out worked, they were like, okay, let's try this.
Crazy guy.
Yeah. So all of these shows, all these shows and films all spawned because they saw Jordan Peele's success with Get Out.
Yeah.
That's the same thing can happen with a film like Creed, where they're like, okay, well, Creed worked. Okay, well, let's try to make another black film. So now they're about to do the Jamie Foxx film about Mike Tyson's life because Creed worked.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So things like that happen, and I love that because it shows them, black stories aren't just boys in the hood and straight out of Compton and things like that. We can also make films about just our icons. And though not saying that those films are not good. No, trust me, those films are great. Hence why Snowfall is doing as good as it's doing. But we have other categories in which we can, be pushed forward and dominate in. But we just need the chance. And I just think they have to let us be diverse. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I want to welcome everyone who's on with us. Andreen, one of our stalwart supporters, we want to thank you. You had a question, a comment. You said, let's build our own so we can tell our own authentic stories, our long game. And Andreen's an author. She's written several books, and she's a poet and just an all-round creative. And for me, it's always fun because, like, even talking to you, I'm not no film person, so there's so much that I'm learning just listening to you talk. Are there any particular genres that get you all hot and warm and fuzzy?
Definitely thrillers. I love thrillers because they told the line of horror and drama. They're right in that gray spot, and I like that. One of my favorite thrillers right now is a film called Vivarium. And I don't want to spoil what it's about, so I'll give a slight, I guess, insert about it. It's about a couple who's looking for the perfect life, and they basically find it, but they find out that it's not what they thought it was. But if you get a chance, watch it. It's called Vivarium. It's not a black film, but it's an awesome film. I like thrillers because they take you down one road and then they make a hard left. Get Out was one of my most favorite ones, obviously. Thrillers, I'd say a good drama. What else? I think those two are like my main two. My sister, she got me into horror films because she would watch a lot of them when I would grow up. And she would hit me with them. So I used to hate them when I was a kid, but I grew up to like them. That's really about it. Thrillers are definitely my thing, though. But I don't like to stick with one. So Get Out, Greytown is the thriller film that I made. But now I'm making a drama right now where it's a more serious story where it's like, okay, let's try this route here. I don't want to just stick on one. I like to bounce around and see which one is my thing. The one thing I like about dramas is, like with the film Nightcrawler, you can make them as deep as you want to, and you can kind of play with your characters a lot more rather than with the thriller. I think it's more based around the story and the environment. But a drama is a good drama can be very entertaining. One of my favorite dramas is the film Nightcrawler.
Yeah. So. I just had this really off the wall thought.
Mhm.
Since George Floyd was murdered, and in the year since, with all of the social unrest, with the racial and social justice reckoning,
Mhm.
with all this crazy money that people are trying to give to Black folks. Some say that it's because they want to see change. Some I think want to just assuage their guilt. And I'm wondering if in your circles, if you're seeing that type of thing, because in for writers, I mean, all these newspapers that because I've been in newspapers for 36 years, and every year you have these surveys that say that, over the next 5 years, 10 years, we're going to have X number of Black people as reporters, as managers, and it's always aspirational, but it doesn't happen. So I'm wondering if you're seeing, as a result of the byproduct of the year of protest, if it's making a difference, or if you're seeing it in your film circles,
Um,
the money or opportunities that may not have been there before.
Most definitely. The woman that produced my film, I think that had a profound effect on her decision to help us out. Because she sees she can help out two young Black men who, I'm be honest, in any other instance, nobody would just say, "Oh, we need $5,000 for your film. Here you go."
Yeah,
Nobody would do that, and we were
yeah.
blessed to have somebody like her to do that because, like I said, that's not something that happens.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, when it comes to everything like that, I think it just shows that we have to come together more.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really going to want to help us out, other than ourselves. Um, I think it is, like you said, when it comes to the money, to take it away from film for a second, I just think in general, we won't be able to do anything as far as protecting ourselves if we don't have an economic base. And
Yeah.
because we're so non-monolithic,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to happen because our money doesn't circulate.
Yeah.
And until it does, we can't really expect anything to change. That this is a capitalistic society. What
Mm-hmm.
matters is capital, and
Yeah.
Black people don't have that in a whole. We
Mm-hmm.
have it as individuals. A lot of our individuals do. A lot of our superstars do. But in a whole and in a group setting, we don't really have that. We don't really have. I live in a neighborhood where I go up the street. The subway that I eat at is owned by Indians who
Yeah.
came from India.
Yeah. Yeah.
The carryout restaurant that I go to is ran by Asians who
Yeah.
came from Asia. They barely speak English.
Yeah.
The gas station I go to get my gas and get some snacks at in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
that's ran by some form of a Muslim. I don't know where they're
Yeah.
from, but that's
Yeah.
what that's ran by. And it's like, we can't really expect any change with that until we start to own the same businesses that are in our neighborhood. And it's hard because it goes to, us trying to get bonds, us trying to get loans, which,
Yeah.
we get, at a higher rate.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, in filmmaking, I just think it shows that, like it's like you see in Atlanta right now,
Mm-hmm.
with somebody like, Tyler Perry status, we have to help us. So if somebody needs a film made, the fact that Tyler Perry owns a studio, if he sees as a Black filmmaker, hopefully so, he's
Mm-hmm.
more open to saying, okay, you don't have the money, but nobody's using this space. Go ahead and use it. You're good.
Well, I think it's like 270 acres, so there's lots of space that's not going to be used. They use all the space all the time. So
I would hope so that I know that's what I would do.
Yeah.
All of my productions, people that are working on the backside of it are all Black.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that to be on no racist stuff or nothing like that. I just understand that the people that are working back there with me,
Mm-hmm.
they likely won't get the chance to work on a project unless somebody gives it to them. And if I can be the one to help them, I would love that, because when I was a kid, all I wanted was somebody to help me.
Mm-hmm.
My ultimate dream, and I tell everybody this whenever I talk to them about, my filmmaking,
Yeah.
is to have a production in which half of the crew is professionals that know what they're doing, and the other half are their assistants who are all high school students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are all invested in 12th grade.
That's a great concept, a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Because I know when I was in high school, just to have the chance to work, I don't care if the film was only going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
But to be able to get out there and experience it, I know for a fact it would change somebody's life because you
Yeah.
get to see it. But that's my ultimate dream, and just seeing everything that's going on with Jordan now, it definitely shown me we got to work together.
Yeah, you have Mimi jumping up and down over here.
And no, that's it. And I'm not saying that for no camp. No, that's really a dream that I've had for like a long time because, and I told my teachers before he transitioned to another school, my mentor Richard McGee, I would often, not even often, at least once a year, I would go and talk to the kids at Student High School just to tell them about what I did and let them know, if I can come from here and go to a community college and end up working with somebody like a Chadwick Boseman, and I was only a PA, but I still got there. What do you think you can do now that I'm telling you that it's possible? Nobody told me it was possible. I got lucky. So if I'm telling you what you can do, you should know you should know you can surpass me. And I like to do that because nobody really came there. The closest thing I got to that was a couple of white people coming to my class to talk to me about Full Sail University and telling me you can come here if you pay $150,000 in a loan. I'm like, that's not attainable. And when I told my mom about it, she was like, "Who's paying that? You ain't going there." So it wasn't possible. But luckily, I don't even want to say luckily, but I was blessed enough to go to a community college in which it really worked as a community. Everybody there looks up. You just got to be open. You can't go with the mindset of I'm gonna go to class and I'm gonna go home. No, go there and talk to you. I tell my little sister this, when she's at school, she's in high school right now. But I tell her, talk to your teachers. They're actual people. You never know who they know. I never would have known that my teacher, Richard McGee, was an Emmy Award winner if I would never spoke to him.
Yeah.
And just by me talking to him, he networked me and introduced me to people. And I'm here talking to you all now.
Yeah. And I mean, Mimi and Angela are great people to know because
Definitely.
I thought I knew people, but Mimi knows everybody.
I know, right? When I talked to her, she was like, "Oh, I know this person. They run this festival, and they got this festival." And I was like, "Jesus, Mimi, you know everybody." Yeah. But I love that because
she knows everybody.
The funniest story, and it doesn't relate to Mimi, but it relates to just how many people she knows, and you never know who you're speaking to and who they know. Yeah. I was in an Uber on my way to PG to work an event for them a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, and I was in the car with an older gentleman who had to be in his late 60s. He was in his late 60s. And I got in the car, and I don't know why I was just feeling kind of talkative. So when he asked me how was I doing, I was like, "Oh, I'm all right. How you doing, sir?" He was like, "Oh, I'm all right. Just, getting the grind on." I said, "Yep, me too." And he seen he was taking me to the school. He said, "Oh, you work at school?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you a student?" I was like, "Kinda, a little bit. I never finished because I started working, but, that's a story for another day." He's like, "Okay, what are you studying?" And when I told him TV production, he started laughing. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's just laughing because people don't take it seriously. Until he told me he was a former producer for CNN.
Oh, wow. See?
Yeah. And then he told me he worked for NBC, and he taught mass communications in London and Maine, and he had his own TV show in Washington State. And I'm just like, really? He was like, yeah. And he was like, well, what's your number and information? I'll try to connect with somebody. Yeah. I was like, geez, this is crazy. But just things like that happen. You never know who knows who. And that's the beauty of networking. I love it. And it's fun because when you hear their stories, it also gives you a little bit of inspiration to know if this person can do that, and now that they've told me that they've done that, I can do that, or I can do something like that and move on. Yeah.
The thing that always just fascinates me is all of the people who are driving taxis and Ubers. Because I jumped in a taxi, started talking to a dude, Nigerian, PhD in agronomy, right? Another person, PhD in economics. Well, why aren't you working at the World Bank? I came here and I'd have to basically go back to school. Well, that's what this country does a lot of times. They'll tell you that, oh, the credits that you did in London don't transfer, so you got to do it again. And so
that's all about money.
Yeah, it's all about money. There is so much talent driving Ubers and taxis. It's amazing.
Yep, you'll be surprised. The funny thing about that is I asked him, I said, "Are you still doing it?" He said, "Oh no, I'm done. I'm retired." I was like, "You don't want to do it anymore?" He said, "Nah, I'm done. I'm good." Yeah. And I asked him about his career. He said he loved it. He enjoyed it. He was able to. His main thing was also networking. He said just talking to random people. helped him, and he gave me the information, and he was like, "Yeah, contact me. I'll try to contact somebody down at NBC and see if they got anything open." And just doors like that open for you when you're just. He played basketball, I think, in high school, which led to him being a journalist for the NBA.
Okay.
Yeah, so things like that just popped up, but that's the beauty of it.
I know. I'll tell you that Mimi knows half of the world, and I know the other half.
I believe it.
So we gonna talk offline because I know people all over the place. Honestly, in the arts, in theater, in TV, in movies. I just know folks, because after having done this for so long, I was telling someone the other day, my Rolodex is 2,200 people. I have 2,200 people in my Rolodex, and I went I went to the newsroom, and someone said, "How the hell you know all these people?" And I'm like, "You act like I've been sitting down with my hand in between my legs for 36 years." You go out, you find people, you talk to them, and one of the things I always do, Justin, we just finished the interview. Who else do you know that I can talk to?
And there are people, especially in this industry, people love to connect other people with other people, because once I do that, the people that you connect with, I'll be able to say, "Hey, you know them? Can I get their information?" And that's it's this beauty of networking. I love it. I'll sit down sometimes and then I'll retrace my steps to say, I met him through him. I'll retrace my steps all the way back to high school and realize that one step I decided to jump out there on and do changed my whole life. And people don't realize that. That's what it does.
Lisa, my first job on a professional film set was working with some of the most talented African Americans and diasporans. It made a tremendous spark in my media career. Mimi Machado Lucas was one of them. See,
I'm telling you, when I talked to Mimi, and I think it was when that what was it? It was the festival. I can't remember the name of the festival, but it was up there, I think maybe last year or the year before. And we were supposed to get in it, but COVID ended up happening, so we weren't able to.
You can still get in it.
Oh, yeah, this year. He was telling me about that. But long story short, that's when I found out that she has all these ends with all of these festivals. And I was like, you would if you don't talk to somebody, you would have no idea that they have those type of connections. Yeah. And now she's telling me about all these other festivals I got to get in. And I think one of them that she told me about, I was like, oh, yeah, we got to say, we didn't get in, but I was like, yeah, we submitted into that one. And she was like, oh, yeah, so it's ran by such and such, right? I was like, geez, how does she know this person? But that's just how it is. But I love that because that's why you have to treat everybody with respect. That's
what we got to do. But I'm telling you, we'll be sitting down watching TV, and I'll say, I love Winter Marsalis. Oh yeah, that's my friend. I met him, and I'm like, oh God, okay.
And the thing is, because of her energy, I believe it, because she's such a happy person. Yeah. And when she says it, it's just like, I believe it.
Because she met me.
I am happy because I met you. But I was happy before.
You were happy before, yeah. Yeah.
And there are many filmmakers.
Oh,
and
Mimi said it. Well, I don't know who all these folks are. Yeah, filmmakers and authors and actresses and actors. Jaynandi Lee and Lisa Broaddus and Andreen, and who else we got here?
Alton.
Alton is my resident Scrooge, grumpy Oscar. He's like Oscar, but he's brilliant. He's an economist and he's a consultant, energy consultant, and that type of stuff. I've known Alton for 37 years. We met at Florida State.
So what is he? Is he just straight faced? I like people like that because they give you the brutal truth. And
he's just like no cut cards, straight no chaser. And I just laugh because I'm that way too. Because people are like, oh my God, you're just so blunt. It's like, well, I don't see any reason to be acting any,
The one thing especially working in this industry, I think the most damaging thing you can have around you is, for lack of a better term, I guess, yes men, who don't tell you when you're wrong. Because if your film is bad, you want somebody to tell you, yeah, that wasn't good. Because if you put it out there and they tell you after the fact, well, I knew that was wrong. And I tell the guys that I'm making my films with, if you see something wrong, tell me. Because if we get to the premiere and you tell me, well, I thought that wasn't going to work, I'm going to be upset. Because I'm like, dude, you got to tell me that immediately. I might not like it. Of course I'm not going to like it. But I'll be grateful for it. Tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me when it's wrong. Tell me when it's bad. That's the only way I can get better. You can't improve by somebody always telling you that you're good. And even if you do get told you're good all the time, it should be up to you to say, I'm not good enough. And that's what I tell myself all the time. This film may be good, but I can be better.
I have been writing for 36 years, and I haven't my best story yet.
And that's a good mindset to have. That's a great mindset to have.
You know, and I'm always like surprised. Like I just went back and Googled my name the other day, and I read a story that I'd forgotten I wrote, and I was like, who wrote this? And it's like, damn, this shit is good. You know, so it's kind of nice if you don't think too much about that. You just do the work and let it speak for itself. Yep. So what are you working on now?
So my next project that I'm doing right now, currently in production, is called Brass. It's another short, a little bit. I think it might be a little bit longer than Greytown. While Greytown only took about 5 days to shoot, this one's going to take about 2 months. Okay. Jump in the room in a major way.
Good.
You got to learn, you got to practice, and if failure happens, you know, it's not. I don't count it as a failure if it doesn't happen the way I wanted it to, because it's actually flipping into a lesson by just trying again. So, and I'm okay with failure. You know, you have to be. You know, I think school makes us look at failures as if it's a bad thing because you fail a test and you feel bad about it. But in life, it doesn't work like that. If you fail, you just learn from your failures and you move on to try again. But it's called Brass. It's called Brass. It's another short. It's about a young man who's just trying to find himself in life, and he followed the path that his mom told him to follow, and he comes to realize that maybe he should have been following what he wanted to in the first place. It's a boxing film as well.
Oh, Mimi said she has a trailer, so if you see us, you're gonna show it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the trailer.
Here's the trailer. That music, man. That music.
Glad you like it. Glad you like the thing.
Yeah. You know, I'm listening to you, and I keep on thinking, you sound like an old man.
Dude, I've been getting
like an old soul.
No, and it's funny that you say that. And I don't like to sound braggadocious, but because you said that, I have to say it. Yeah. I've been hearing that since I was like 15, and it's weird. And my dad even says that, because when I tell him, I'm like, Dad, you know I got an old soul. He's like, yeah, I know. He rolls his eyes at it because I don't act like the typical, 25-year-old. I don't, drive fancy cars and all that crazy stuff. I like nice stuff, but I look at it like, if I gotta walk to this spot, I'll walk. I don't care. I'm good. And he looks at it like, man, you crazy. You gotta get some type of car. Nah, it's fine. But I've been hearing that since I was young. I had a class. When I was in 12th grade, I dreamed of being an electrician. And in that class, one of my friends was goofing off. And the teacher called him, but I was like, oh, no. He wasn't goofing off. He was doing this and that. And he was like, you know what? You always sticking up for somebody. He said, you know what? And I forgot what I said to him. But after I said it, he said, you know what? You got some wisdom on your shoulders. And when he said it, I was like, you're like the 10th person to tell me that. And I didn't know why. And even till now, when I went to college, I had an older guy who was in his like 30s. He was like, Justin, how old are you? And I said, I'm 18. He was like, I thought you were like 25. I'm like, nah. He was like, bro, you act old. And I'm like, I don't know what people mean by that. But I definitely have an old soul. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know. I like to talk to people like yourselves who have more wisdom than I do.
Us old people, right?
No offense with that, but you all have experiences that I would love to know about. And people don't realize that. I'll sometimes just go to my grandparents' house and I'll just sit there for.
I know. I was gonna ask you about you if you just go sit and hang with your grandparents, because you sound like someone who just soaks up all of this stuff from all around you, all this ancient wisdom and that type of thing. Yeah.
Because people want to watch movies, but they don't realize your grandparents will tell you some stories that are movies themselves. They've gone through things that people don't realize that. I love it. You know, and I don't want to turn this dark for a second, but talking to my grandmother on my mother's side, she has such a profound story from the fact that she grew up in La Plata, Maryland, when it was just rural. It was just all country. And
it's still country.
Yeah, it is. But she grew up there, and she didn't know her mother. Grew up with her aunt, and she tells me about her stories all the time, and how her aunt didn't like her, and her cousins didn't like her, so she moved out the house at 16 and just started working, and all the way down to her raising my parents, and her and my uncle getting into it about some things, and she was like, "Oh, I threw a knife at him." I'm like, "What?" She was like, I threw a knife at him. He mushed in my face. I threw him right at him, and I kicked him out the house. I'm like, "What?" And then on down to things. I had another uncle who was hung at like 9 years old, and hearing stories like that and hearing her talk about that, that's things that you wouldn't know unless you talk to them about it. I didn't know about that for the time. I would just always see this right in a picture in her house until one day I sat with her and I talked to her, and she told me about it. And my mom told me about it, and hearing all those stories, people don't realize, just if you talk to people that are older than you and wiser than you, you'll find out some things about not just them, but about life, just through hearing their experiences in it. And it's something I enjoy doing personally. You can learn a lot from people that are your senior. And they don't have to be in their 60s or in their 70s. They can be in their 40s. But it's just enjoyable.
Like me.
Stop lying.
So our buddy Marshall, Wagwan.
Marshall.
Yes. He's like, what makes Justin want to make movies?
It's a few things. One, my main thing personally, I just love production. The process of creating something out of nothing is what I enjoy. People don't realize that a movie isn't just a bunch of people getting together to make something. There was like a whole team that had to sit down first and come up with an idea. After coming up with that idea, you got to put it down on paper. After putting it down on paper, you got to find the locations and get the budget. After finding the locations and getting the budget, then you got to find the people. After finding the people, you got to pick the right people and to get them to learn the lines that's on that paper. Then after doing that, then you got to get them to walk around and practice the steps that's in that paper. Then and it's so much things that goes into it. And really, it just came from a bunch of people getting together and just thinking about an idea. And that's what I enjoy, the process within itself. It can be hard. It can be very taxing. It can be lonely. A lot of times I'm in isolate. On Greytown, like I said, that took 3 years to make. And it only took 5 days to shoot. But those 3 years, Marshall knows this because he got annoyed with us all the time. Me and my friend Zach, we spent almost every day in the PGCC studio writing the film, to the point where the security guards knew us on a first name basis, and they were just like, "What you guys doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're working on the film." So the security guards and the janitors and everything that were there at 2 a.m, they see us in there on the computer, and they're just talking to us and telling us about their day. because we were there so much, and
Yeah.
that process though is long. I enjoy it because I mean I can go to parties or I can work on something like this, and it can be just as fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, it can be taxing and it can be lonely because you got to isolate a lot, but it's enjoyable. I enjoy it personally.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, and in my family they'll say things like, "Oh, Justin, you need to come out of your room." But then when the movie finally comes out, they're just like, "Oh man, I really like that movie," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I was in my room so much. That's what I was working on." But that's my thing. I just overall enjoy production. That's why I'm able to do sports, journalism, film, just the process of creating something. Just like when it comes to sports, none of that sports stuff is set up as far as the cameras and the lights and other stuff until we get there. We put them in their spots, we plug them in, and we start shooting. That's the process that I enjoy. Production in general.
Okay. Jay Nandy's asking, how do you develop your characters?
In my films, here's the funny part. I let them do it themselves. Greytown happened because it was a real story, but when I was writing it, hearing my grandmother and having her and my grandfather talk to me about the whole process and everything, I kind of let the characters make themselves within that realm. And when it came to the character of Willie, everybody always says, "Oh, he comes off as a jerk." That wasn't supposed to be the intention, but when it plays out like that, you have to let it go because that's what it's doing within itself. It's enjoyable to watch because when you give your actors a chance to actually act instead of trying to make them do something that they aren't naturally doing, it can kind of cause a shift in it. So once it went that way, I was like, you know what? It's fine. Let it go. It's cool. It was supposed to come off like that, but it's fine. With Brass is my first one that I'm actually having to develop from scratch, and I'm actually behind the camera and I'm doing the shots and everything. Greytown I just directed and I was given a story. With Brass, I'm more or less that film that I'm making now, I took from my own life. A lot of that stuff I took from my own life. And in the film, the young man is cleaning bathrooms. That's something that I did when I first got my first job at like 13, cleaning up a barbershop. And so cleaning toilets and things like that was my job. I was scrubbing toilets for like 5 years, 6 years until I moved on to a grocery store. And putting things like that into my film and seeing that somebody has to go from that to basically trying to figure out, is this what I really want to do? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Maybe I need to try and do something else. Is what I did in my past the wrong way to go as far as, going to college? I went to college and I graduated, but I didn't really want my degree in that. Those are things that, in my opinion, they're real thoughts. And people don't ever talk. A lot of films talk about the successes of college, but nobody ever talks about the realization of a lot of people, they will go and realize that what they got their degree in may not be what they really like.
That's what I tell you. I did 3.5 years of international relations at Florida State, and then I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" Because I started, and I did it ass backwards. Because when I was almost finished, I started looking at the U.S. Foreign Service and foreign policy and that type of stuff, and it was like there's like 0.5% of black people, and usually it's family connections, it's political connections and all this stuff that I ain't got. So, almost at the end, it was like, okay, what do you want to do? And it was like, it has to be something with writing. And so I went to a newspaper with no clips. And the boy who was the editor was like, I don't even think you can write. Write something and let me see. I wrote it. He said I didn't write it. He didn't believe I wrote it. And I said, I'm going to sit over here in the corner. You tell me a topic, or let me go find something, and I'm going to write it at this desk. And when he was like, oh, I guess he really wrote it. And I worked for him for 3 months without salary because he said he ain't have no money. But I got my
crazy. You wouldn't trade that 3 months for anything because that 3 months probably showed you a lot, and that's what people don't like. They don't like to work for free. You got to start off working for free, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those are some of the best years. When they build the character, people don't realize that.
Yeah. And the thing is that as a journalist, in the beginning, sometimes for a long time, you ain't making no money. You ain't making no money.
So it's got to be done out of passion.
But you just keep on doing it. My best years financially is now, and I'm 63 years old. Right? Best years. And that's the 36 years of experience and finally realizing my worth and telling people no. Because the two most favorite letters in the English language for me is N-O.
That's a big one. That is a big one. That's something I'm learning right now. I'm learning that now. And it's something I don't like to say. And I tell my friends all the time, I don't like to be the bad guy. I don't like to be mean. I don't like to say no.
Why don't you like to be that guy? Embrace it. Embrace it. Be like Darth Vader. I'll be your bulldog. I'll be like, get the fuck out of here. And they'll be like, oh my God, Justin's such a nice guy. Barrington's a son of a bitch. I don't care. I don't care.
See, the thing is though, I'm learning how to say no now. But the way I say it, it's like, you know what? I wish I could, but I can't. And instead of y'all right saying no, I'll try to sugarcoat it because I don't like to say it. And even when it came to, I think we were talking off air about somebody who was interested in being on my project that I'm working on right now, and I had to let them know.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say no, so instead of saying no, I was like, you know what? I wish I could say yes. I just can't. Yeah. So instead of saying no, I got it because I don't know. I still see it bad guy thing, but it's not. I understand.
I give tutorials. I give tutorials. So let me know when you need to come by so we can, because the best. No, trust me, and with all seriousness, you put yourself in too much stuff because I used to be. I don't want to hurt your feelings. Who has time for all that shit?
Man, oh man,
just just tell them.
No, like seriously, what you just said is exactly what I'm going through right now. Where I'm messing up with so many projects, and it's not because I'm messing up; it's because I put too much on my plate. Because people keep asking me stuff, so now I have to say no.
No, call me. Call me.
Oh man,
like I'm representing Mr. Smothers, and no, no, this ain't gonna work.
I'm gonna need it. But I've learned, especially the one thing I don't like to do is I don't like to let people down. And I've learned that if you don't say no, that's going to be inevitable. Because you'll stack yourself up too high. And that's what I did. Where I'm trying to work on a film. I have my gig back from COVID, so now I'm working back in my sports production. I got a music video that this guy wants me to shoot. I got another friend who wants another film shot or another video shot and edited. I got other. I'm like, I can't do all of this, and then I end up forgetting to call people back. Forgetting to contact people, and I'm like, I can't do that. That's not my character. But
they're gonna say no, you're an asshole because you didn't finish your project, so you lose anyway.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I have to start.
Yeah,
you have to
so if you tell them up front, can't do this right now. Give me a couple months. I'll be your social secretary.
It's definitely something that I've learned that even when it comes, especially on films. Yeah. It's okay to say no. Not everybody's going to like what you have to say. And if they don't, you have to tell them, you know what, I want to put you in it, but I can't. Right. Especially when somebody comes to me and I tell them, okay, the budget is this. And they say, yeah, but I want that. Yeah. No, I can't. Sorry. Yeah. So that's
Marshall asked a question. He asked, who is your favorite director?
As of right now, I would have to say, simply off of how he's been killing it, Jordan Peele, but it's not outright. I have a few favorite ones, and I think we talked about it off air, maybe at the beginning of the episode. But it would be Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele, Ava DuVernay, and who was the other one? And there was one more, but those are definitely the top ones right now. I really love their work.
And you love their work for different reasons, or do they kind of drop into some common themes?
All different reasons that all fit into what I like about film personally. Jordan Peele, it's his ability to stack so many messages in his stories. When you watch a film, you have to watch it a few times to catch one thing that you missed. And like in Get Out, it's easy to brush it off as just black guy goes to his crazy white girlfriend's family's house and gets trapped in the basement because they're trying to take his brain. But you'll miss the subtle nods to you know, the deer and how the deer on the side of the road that got hit was a nod to his mom who was on the side of the road when she got killed.
Mhm.
That's what that was about. Him putting the cotton in his ear was about black people that had to pick cotton, and the thing that black people picked ended up being the thing that saved his life. You know, the bocce ball that he hit the guy with was a sign of, you know, white, you know, power, which is basically saying like, oh, this is a game that white people predominantly play, that he ends up, you know, killing some or knocking the guy out with. There are a bunch of things that are stacked on top of there, all the way down to the fact that the girlfriend doesn't wear red until the end when she comes out as evil. There are multiple things in that film that if you watch it, you'll catch it. That's why I love his style, and also the fact that he'll take a story and it'll go one way and then it'll just make a hard left, and that's a good thing.
You like hard left, huh?
Oh yeah, I love that, man. That's why one of my favorite films. Really, if you all get off of this, watch a film called Vivarium. It's so weird, but it takes you on just such a weird roller coaster. I like films that you don't know what's going to happen. I hate a predictable film.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the Hollywood films that come out now, I don't really like to watch all of them because they're so predictable. And it's so much CGI and the story's not really that deep. But that's why I like Jordan Peele's films. Who else did I say? Ava DuVernay. I like her style. The realisticness of her films, the grunginess, the grungy look of her films, her cinematography that she has in her films, the acting that she pulls out of her actors is dope.
Yeah.
When They See Us, I didn't want to watch it because when that story first happened when I was little, my aunt, she collects Jet magazines, and I saw that story, I think, in one of the Jet magazines or something of that nature. And when I heard about it, I was a kid. I still remember when I heard about it as a kid at her apartment complex over in Forestville. And when I heard about it, I was like, man, like this is really messed up. Nobody's talking about this, and no, nobody was.
Yeah.
And so when the film came out or when the show came out, I didn't want to watch it because I was like, bro, I'm gonna cry. And I knew I was gonna cry, and I ended up crying because it was like it's such a messed up thing because they didn't do it, and I was as a kid that knows what they're going through, and I've gotten pulled up on by the police multiple times. It's scary and it's intimidating. But I like her style and how she can take a story like that and put it on Front Street and not only make it entertaining but also very informative, and she can hit people hard.
Yeah.
I love her style.
She did.
Ryan Coogler, I like his style as well, but on the opposite end. Besides Fruitvale Station, a film like Creed can look that dang good and be that dang entertaining, and he can show that. If y'all watched the film that came out before Creed and the Rocky franchise, I think it was Balboa. Watch the depiction of a black man in that, and then watch the depiction of a black man in Creed, and you'll see which one was written by an actual black person. And that's no disrespect to whoever wrote Balboa.
Yeah.
You'll see the differences in the style. The black guy on Balboa, he had his hat turned sideways. You know, he was playing basketball randomly. He had a flip cell phone in his car or whatever. Something. It was just he came off as just the image of a black guy from another viewer standpoint, rather than on Creed. That Michael B. Jordan played a black person that was written by a black person, and he was just being a guy. He didn't have to be no freak dude or talk like he was gangster. No, it was none of that. That's why I like Ryan Coogler, because his style, he can make it entertaining, but also stylistic.
Yeah.
So I like his, and also the music in his films as well. Go back to Creed. Like I said, him putting Meek Mill in that film because the film takes place in Philly.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. Marshall said you need to focus on one project.
I've learned that. I probably won't listen. I'll probably work on about 2 or 3, but that'll be my limit.
It's okay.
I don't like to take days off right now. If I have a day off, I like to use that day off to work.
Yeah. Marshall said, I just watched Creed this week. It's the same story as Rocky with blacker.
Not necessarily. I mean, don't knock me for this. I have never fully watched Rocky. I have never fully watched Rocky. Honestly, it never really caught me. I do like some 70s films. One of my favorites is a film called The Warriors, but I never fully watched Rocky. I think the first one I watched was Balboa. I think it was like the first one I watched.
Okay. Rick Johnson. Not Rick Johnson, Rick Gray. Welcome. How you doing? A lot of films nowadays are predictable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just keep on thinking that we as viewers are so goddamn stupid because
Yep.
we pay these cable companies all this money,
Oh, man.
500 channels, and only 2 of them are worth watching.
Oh, and that's why I don't. If you want to see really good content that isn't predictable, honestly, and this is coming from somebody that makes films, go to YouTube and look at a lot of the indie films. You'll
Yeah.
see that a lot of those.
That's what
they
Rick
do
just.
different things.
No, that's not Rick. That's Elsie.
Oh, LC just said, seen
Oh,
indie
wow.
films and those of more diverse writers. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is it's a short film called The Jester. It's a 3-part series, but it
Mhm.
was so different and I had never seen anything like it. And I was like, yeah, I love this. It's called The Jester. It's on YouTube. You can go watch it for free. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. Greytown, hopefully that's not I don't know. I think in my opinion it was predictable, but it was my first one. And the whole time I was making it, I said whether or not it's predictable.
No. I'm not gonna. No. Here's the deal. If you ain't talking about your stuff being the shit, who gonna say it? Who gonna say it? So you got.
Did he freeze?
He's frozen. Yeah.
Justin's frozen.
Nigel
Oh,
Thompson.
there we go. No, no.
Okay, he's back.
Yeah. So you gotta talk up your stuff, man.
Oh,
And-
yeah. Oh, no.
And your
It's not-
your stuff is so good that we are gonna be talking about it.
Got you.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
Because I tell people all the time, I'm one of the best writers out here.
That's good. Yeah. And that
And I
compliment,
put myself against most people. Now I know to stay in my lane. I know that there's some certain places and areas that I'm gonna fall on my face, but generally I'm cool. I'm good. And you got to show me some stuff to make me stop talking, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said,
I guess I am making it very wrong.
But I love the conversation and where we've gone in film with you, Justin. You are prolific, alluring. All kinds of words came up here. You got fans.
man.
My audience are fans. People like Jay Nandi Lee, who is an excellent actress, a character actress who's always looking for stories to tell. Elsie Broaddus is a great production. The production person. I worked with her a long time ago and just know her very well. And she went to Howard. And all of these people, a lot of these people on here are either filmmakers or production people or television people, just people that along the way like to tell our stories. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate learning more. I'm always earwigging when where Justin is involved. Like one day you were working on Greytown in our studio and I heard you talking about a diner and I was like, well, what kind of diner do you want? And I think that was like my first conversation with you and Zach, and I started telling you about some diners that I knew that kind of looked like what you were looking for. And I don't know if you ever ended up going there and using them, but
we probably did. We shopped around a lot of them.
Huh? You shot what?
They shopped around.
For a lot of them. We went around to a lot of different. So we probably did.
Yeah, and you told me the story about the guy saying he didn't like you bringing cameras to a location. Shoot. I was like, nah, dude, this is about to be a great town right here.
I don't know what he was in. I don't know what he was into, but I was like, you know what? To make sure everybody stays safe, we're just going to shoot each other. Which ended up actually working out way better.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Justin is still. Marshall said you were frozen on his screen, but I think
he's back. He's back.
I think you're back.
Yeah.
Back in full effect.
You got any other questions?
No, I'm good, Justin. We had such a wonderful time talking to you. I hope that you'll come when you
when you win that academy.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to talk to us. You gonna have to talk to us when you start going to Hollywood and stuff. And so we say to
You'll
our
be like,
sons
"Hi,
all the time.
do you remember us?"
And look, I don't. If anything, I would likely do something before anything like that happens to make sure that we all can go somewhere. And knowing that you're a writer and me knowing the connections that you have, you will all likely be a reason why I end up going to wherever I go.
Okay.
Whenever I mention my connections or say, I know this person that knows this and knows that, people like yourselves are people that I end up mentioning because I look up to people like you all who have done things that I'm trying to do in my life.
Well, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure, and we started off slow but ended up strong. We got 8 really wonderful people on. I know most of them, if not all of them.
We talk about most of them.
There was one woman who I didn't know, and I was wondering
Who
if
was
that
that?
was one of your friends.
Who's that?
Brenda Richards.
Yeah.
That's your friend.
Yeah.
See, you know everybody.
Oh, please.
Else.
Else. The two or three other people. Yeah.
So, Justin, if there's anything that you need from either one of us,
just call.
Just call. And I'd love to invite you to some of the things that we do. Some people on here, I have like a writer's brain trust group that we meet virtually once a month and just share things that we're writing on. We all sign NDAs so that we don't share each other's stories. But it sounds like that might be a good workshopping thing that you might be interested in doing. And all the people on there, like Nigel Thompson, he's writing a really wonderful script.
Who's Nigel? Tell him who Nigel is. He don't know who Nigel is.
Wonderful script at the moment. Nigel is the cinematographer, director, filmmaker in Trinidad at the moment. I think I was telling you about him. He and I have done lots of work together, and he's getting ready to do a major motion picture about a serial killer. And it's like part thriller, part historical thriller. And so, I love those because you never see those kinds of historical thrillers from an island like Trinidad or a place like Venezuela or any of those type of things. You don't see them in the mainstream. And not that I want to ever make mainstream films, but I definitely want to tell stories about us. So
I like that, because if I ever in my life see another John Wayne Gacy film or documentary again, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like we've heard so much about John Wayne Gacy and Ted Inn and all these serial killers that have been talked about for the past, I don't know how long. They just been, it's the same ones over and over and over. So hearing about a different story from a different ethnic background, that's refreshing. That's refreshing.
Definitely. And
the stories are there.
So thank you all for joining.
How can people find you, Justin?
Yeah, Justin, how can people find you?
My only social media is Instagram. It's like the main one. But you can follow me at iDirect Films, IDIRECT Films, FILMS, all one word. On Instagram. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
You one of them really Generation X Z+1. You ain't on no holy for social media and shit. And it's funny because I read something today and they were like, young people like, oh, Facebook's for old people. So
no, I had to limit it down to one because it's too many. The other ones were so distracting, and you got to learn that if it's there, you're going to use it. So if it's not there, you'll be able to, focus on just that one. And if you can control the narrative on your own social media and follow certain pages and see certain things, you'll be fine. So everything that it was involved with any other thing outside of Instagram, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm out. Peace.
Okay. And Justin said, if anybody needs to find you, just come to the PGCC TV studio.
No, Marshall said that.
Marshall said that. So.
He lives there.
He lives.
I used to.
Used to. Okay.
He doesn't live there anymore.
And Nigel said he can't wait to meet you. Nigel is a fount of knowledge and wisdom.
Oh yeah, I would love to meet you, sir.
He's a really, really good guy. The thing that I love is that we don't deal with assholes. Mimi and I don't deal with, no.
No, we are the assholes.
Yeah, well.
We'll be an asshole.
Yeah, we're very deliberate and very intentional about the people and the energy that we have around us.
Yeah, you gotta be.
And that's very important. You know, people either like me or they hate me, which is fine. It's been that way my whole life. If you love me, I'm gonna hug you up, and if you hate me, I'm like,
I got it, and I would love to develop the attitude where it's just you love me or you hate me, but either way, I'm fine. And I'm still stuck right now in the realm of I just want everybody to like me. Understand I'm a likable person, and you know I'm learning right now. No matter what you do to some people, I've learned that no matter what you do, to some people you will not be likable, and you have to accept that. And I'm learning that the hard way right now.
But Justin, if you say no,
yeah,
you can still be likable.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing that says that it's only one thing or the other. I mean, folks gonna get over it. Yeah. I know we got lots of snowflakes and people who have fragile egos, but you need to be in a space where you ain't going crazy because you got to call Barrington and tell him no, but you really don't want to tell him no. And Mimi's telling you that she wants to be the lead on this film, but she's not the right one, and you want to tell her no. Tell her. Marshall, haters gonna hate. You will learn this that you get. It's true. Yeah, when you get to a certain age, you don't give a goddamn anymore. I don't.
It's true.
And Mimi will tell you, I sleep good at night.
No is an easy verb. It is an action verb. No. And it's also universal. No.
You can say fucking. You can say fucking. No, I said no. Okay.
And Barrington will always add a cuss word in. So if you really want to tell somebody, you can always call me. In the accent too. And,
oh God.
And if you need somebody to tell them off in Spanish or Trinidadian patois, you know, I got some people for you.
Because I'll be like, didn't Justin tell you don't call him again? Don't fucking call him again. I mean, that's cool.
Oh man.
Your trusted circle of folks. Yeah. This guy, Rick Gray, worked at NBC. He is, I call him Bones. He edited a documentary with me like 12 years ago. I sat in his basement every day, and we put this documentary together with chewing gum and drawings and bones. And that's my nickname from him. He calls me Bones, and I call him Bones too. You know, these people that you meet along the way, they are the salt of the earth, the best people in the world, and they're my family. They're our family now. And when you make films with people,
you need family.
When you make films, I call all my films like my babies. And so when you make films with people, it's like you're making children with them. So, you know, they live on forever.
I like that.
Yeah. Here's the funny part. My parents said that, and without them speaking, I was talking to my dad one day, and I was talking to him about, you know, people I'm making my films with and how things were going right. And he said, you know, you got to look at the film like it's your baby. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I spoke to my mom about it, who didn't speak to my dad. They aren't together. And this was like a week or two later, and my mom said the same exact thing. And I was like, they don't work in film. They don't know anything about it. So I'm like, man, this is crazy that they both said the same thing. And then hearing you say it as well, that's really what it is.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It is. I have a child I've been raising for the past 10 years. It's time for me to get pregnant.
It's coming. So it's coming.
It's coming.
It's like, push, Mimi, push. Yeah.
So.
But Justin,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being so open. Thank you for being an old soul in a young body. I look at people your age with your wisdom and just your mindset, and it gives me comfort because when I go, the world's going to be in your hands, which is going to be a great goddamn thing.
Yep.
I hope so.
Exactly.
You know,
I hope I make you all proud.
yeah, because you ain't gonna be one of the people going to the gas station and putting gasoline in a plastic bag, right?
Oh no, I want an electric car. I see where we going.
So it gives me a lot of hope. But like Mimi said, we're here. Glad to be resources. You need people. You need contacts. Just call us.
Just call us. It's all good.
And we ain't gonna charge you.
and
So
we might say no at the moment, but no is an answer, an acceptable answer too.
I've learned that when people say no, and unless they say it disrespectfully, don't take it disrespectfully.
Yeah.
Everybody has lives. You can't get mad that their life isn't aligned to what you want them to do right now, and it's okay, and it's fine. I accept it.
Nicely.
Yeah. All right, we gonna roll out. Thanks again. Thank you all for coming and hanging. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. This is Barrington Salmon Speaks, produced by Mimi Machado Luces.
That's me.
That's her. And I'm just a mouthpiece. Mimi just tells me what to do. So thank you all. See you soon. We don't know who we're gonna have yet, but it's gonna be someone just as much fun
as Justin. Buenas noches, Justin.
Good night.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
All right.
See you soon, Mimi.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.